Hello and welcome to the Through the Pain podcast. This is a place for chronic pain and chronic illness warriors to dare, dance, and dream through the pain.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for listening to another episode of the Through the Pain podcast. And we have a new segment today that we're going to introduce. It is painful conversations. And sometimes through the pain, we need to have these conversations to heal and to move on. And today I have special guest Mia Robinson, and she is a sickle cell survivor, sickle cell warrior, rock star advocate. Her resume goes on. And now you're on the Dean's List. Miss Mia, congratulations.
For a second time last year.
Oh my goodness, girl. It is so awesome to hear a warrior doing their thing. So please, Mia, thank you for coming on for this painful conversation.
Yes, you are welcome. Like you said, it's definitely needed, and it's something that we deal with every day. So I agree with you. Talking through these conversations is healing within itself. So I'm happy you invited me.
So today we're going to talk about survivor's remorse. It's something that hits us heavy in the sickle cell community. We see our fallen warriors fall by the wayside. They fight with us. They advocate with us. They fight so diligently, and they do tremendous things. Our peers, our mentors, and even our mentees go too soon because of this debilitating and devastating disease. 2020 and 2021 those 2 years were not just plagued by COVID, but many people with sickle cell disease have passed on. And we're going to talk about that. And it's a touchy topic, but this 2021, I lost my mentee, Kelsey Elizabeth Taylor, who I talked to on many occasions about sickle cell disease. And I thought she was going to come to my funeral. I never expected me to go to her funeral. Young, vibrant lady, only in her 20s. And then Hertz Nazir passed in October. And that was not just a devastating blow for me, it was a devastating blow for the entire sickle cell community. And there's so many others that fell by the wayside that we're going to talk about today. So Mia, who influenced you, or who in your circle passed on?
The one that hit the heaviest was, of course, my best friend, my co-host, my co-founder, my sister, Jennifer Callwood. And she passed the day after I graduated from Georgia State, like not even 24 hours. And even though I knew what was going on, like she was my best friend, so I knew the behind the scenes and how she was feeling and what she was really going through. Even though I knew it was a reality sooner than I wanted it to be and that she wanted it to be, I refused to accept the fact that it was coming sooner than later. You know, as my sister and best friend, I'm like, you're going to get through this. We're going to recover. And, you know, you may not bounce back the same, but you're going to bounce back. You know, that's what we as warriors do. And when she passed, it was kind of like, a part of it was relief because I knew she wasn't suffering anymore. But a lot of it was hurt. It's my best friend. So a lot of it was hurt. I felt lost. I felt, well, I can't even say felt. I still feel in some instances lost, a little lonely, because my best friend. And it doesn't matter that I have another best friend or friends that I can reach out to. It's just that loss from Jennifer. And even more recently, another young lady that I used to go to camp with, and we shared cabins with, she passed maybe like a week ago. These young women aren't even 40 yet. They would have been celebrating their 40th birthday this year. So it's rough. It's really rough.
I think, yeah, rough is an understatement. But I think it hits heavy for us because we're so close to death too, and we don't even know it.
Yeah.
And I feel that it's harder after someone so close to us passes, of the same issue, the same affliction, and you're asking yourself, wait, why are we here? Why am I here? Why was I left? Why, and especially the younger sickle cell warriors that fall by the wayside, unfortunately. Oh my God. We try to figure out what their purpose was.
Yeah.
What their life meant. So how are you trying to grasp? Because even me talking about it right now, it's hard for me to grasp. And I couldn't even prepare notes for today because I couldn't even figure out how we're going to like swing this conversation. How are you coping with I'm here and she's not?
So I try to keep in my mind that I'm still here for a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
I try to remember that my job isn't done, even though hers was or theirs was, because I've lost so many people. I've ran out. I stopped counting because I've lost so many friends and mentees, mentors. I realized the same day that I found out Hertz had passed, another woman, she was 60, she lived to be 65 years old, a warrior. And she used to be the creative arts instructor at Camp New Hope, the sickle cell camp here. So whenever, I take it day by day, that's all I can do. And I do have my moments where, I'm missing Jennifer or whomever, and maybe I'll write her a letter, or maybe, I'll just light a candle for her and just talk to her. I try to hold on to the things that Jennifer specifically left with me. And that's all I can really do. Sometimes I'll color, I'll paint, I'll cry it out. But I can only take it day by day. Some days are better than others. Some days I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't want to do nothing. But I give myself that grace, like we talked about, to just be in those feelings in that moment, because eventually it passes. Another part of it is because that I know I still have work to do. Sometimes advocacy is my stress relief. On those good days, I use the spirits of those past warriors to keep me going and keep me lifted. I feel like now I have an army of angels behind me and aligning things for me to make sure I continue. I have people on both sides, the spiritual side and the earthly side, that are encouraging me to continue to keep going. They understand if I need a break. When I need a break, I'm a break. But but they keep me motivated and keep me encouraged. And if it wasn't for Jennifer's spirit, who she made her spirit known, there was no doubt about the fact that her spirit is with me some days. Just the connection that we had. I know when she's always with me, but some days I can feel her with me. So those days between her spirit, between my friends and family that keeps me encouraged, that's really what's keeping me going. If I was by myself, I would be under a rock and just down and depressed about everything. But I'm grateful for my tribe that keeps me going, the tribe that's here, and the army of angels that I have behind me.
Okay. I'm gonna switch gears just a little bit. People who suffer from survivor's remorse have also experienced PTSD, flashbacks of the traumatic event, flashbacks of the day that the individual died, obsessive thoughts, irritability and anger, feelings of hopelessness and disconnect, fear, confusion, lack of motivation, the inability to eat or overeating, headaches, problems with sleeping, nausea, stomachache, social isolation, even thoughts of suicide. Have you experienced any or all of these symptoms after the death of your best friend?
So I first experienced survivor's guilt almost 18 years ago, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
But by the time Jennifer passed away, I could recognize it better. And I knew kind of how to navigate it. However, when my biological sister passed is when it I was really going through it. Overeating, definitely. You see the pictures of me getting up to 260 pounds. Definitely overeating, definitely lost and lonely. Why did he take her? And she was the healthy one. I'm the sickly one. Why am I still here? Definitely depressed, but I didn't even recognize that then. I was dealing with my depression by eating.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how it showed up in me. I can't say that I've had suicidal thoughts, but I've definitely questioned my existence. Again, why are they gone and I'm still here? I don't understand. So yes, I've experienced a lot of those emotions, and I still experience some of those emotions. After Jennifer passed, I went and got me some ice cream, some chocolate, I went into what I do best, is eating like crazy, and it wasn't necessarily the healthiest things, but that's where I went. I didn't care. I want my ice cream with chocolate and whatever else on it. But yes, I've definitely experienced a lot of those things, and not just from my sister's passing, but Jennifer. I lost the first friend to sickle cell disease when I was 20 years old. It was someone that I shared. We went to camp together, and I didn't understand it then. I just didn't understand it then. I, of course, did not have the knowledge of sickle cell that I have now. Then I didn't know. I just didn't understand at that time. But I lost my first friend to sickle cell when I was about 20. I've lost some of my little sisters that were my camp kids. And it really always throws me for a loop. I'll be 39 this year, and I'm like, what? I'll be 39. You know, when I hit 30, I celebrated big because my sister didn't get to see 30.
Mm-hmm.
And she would have been 30 the year that she passed. So, you know, dealing with that kind of helped me learn my purpose. so that I was lost and lonely for years, and it showed up in how I was eating. So, since I've gotten older, I think I've learned to kind of curb some of those things, or at least be mindful and recognize it when it's happening. But yes, I still deal with a lot of those feelings.
So you spoke about recognizing what's happening and recognizing the signs. My question to you is, when you recognize the signs, who do you ask for? Who do you go to? Who do you ask for help?
So, so recently, one of my good friends he's been checking on me all day and every day since Jennifer's passing, and I'm so appreciative of him. So he's one person that I can kind of vent to, not really vent, but just let it out and talk to. I had already made it a point for 2022 that I find a permanent counselor that I can see regularly, a permanent therapist. So of course, when Jennifer passed, I just picked it up like right away, because I did not want to wait until it was unbearable, before things became unbearable, before I started to see a therapist again. So between my good friend, my best friend that I've been friends with since 7th grade, a couple of my friends that were in the same group, Sickle Cell Sisterhood, with me and Jennifer, I can talk to them. Between those friends and the therapist, those are my go-to.
So what's next for you? How are you going to move through survivor's guilt, and what's your plan for the future?
Oh, that's a tough one, because a lot of me doesn't know how I'm going to continue. I just know I have to. As long as I have breath in my body, I know I have to continue. Continuing to be mindful of how I'm coping, because of the health issues aside from sickle cell that I deal with. I don't want to keep up any more damaging coping skills. So when I have my days when I just want to eat my emotions, I'm going to have that day. This is the time, or this is the day that I'm going to just deal with whatever. But tomorrow is another day. And we're going to go to sleep and wake up and approach it as a whole new day. I rely on the good memories that I've had with Jennifer specifically, or anyone that I've lost. I look at pictures, and for some people, that can be too much, but I can look at pictures. I still hear the sound of her voice. So it's little jokes that'll come to mind, or something that I feel like she would say, and I say it in her voice to myself, like as if she's speaking to me. That's what keeps me going. I'm going to continue to soar and fly despite everything that has gone on, despite all that I'm going through. I'll continue to soar. I know that for sure. How that's going to happen, I don't know right now. Only God knows. He has the best plan. I can plan things out how I want, but when God comes in and stirs things up, it might not go as I plan. So keeping him first, and just being connected in that way, however your audience or you decides to get that spiritual nourishment, that's a must. That's the only way to move through life, really, whether it's survivor's remorse, whether it's PTSD. And I know as warriors, we have a lot of PTSD. I honestly still see flashbacks of my sister when she was in the hospital. And she passed away giving birth to my niece who looks exactly like her. So it was especially when she was younger, it was hard for me to look at my niece because she looks just like her. And as she got older, she would say things that I would bug my sister about. And I'm like, Toya, is that really you? Or is this Debbie? So just holding on to those memories, loving on the people that are here and making sure that they know how much I love them and how much I care. And just holding on to that is how I plan to just push forward and continue to soar through everything.
Mia, how can our audience find you and connect with you?
You can find me on Facebook at Sickle Cell Awareness 365, on Instagram and Twitter at SCA 365, and also on YouTube, Sickle Cell Awareness 365. So either one of those platforms, you can find me. If you want to see some silly stuff, get your mind off of the crazy stuff, you can find me on TikTok. But yeah, for more sickle cell information about me, how I'm coping and everything, definitely follow me on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter.
One last question. What are you doing to cope through the pain?
So I just told someone sometimes advocating is my stress relief. It's my stressor sometimes, and it's my stress relief, especially when it comes to the creativity. Some days I have my moments and just go in the basement and paint. I'll have my music playing. Those are my me days. I have my music playing. I don't really paint anything specific unless that's where the spirit leads me to do, or I'll color, or I'll write. Anything creative is my go-to to cope and to just, that's my outlet. So if it's rapping, writing some poetry, coloring, sketching, any of that, crafting, it's my go-to. That's how I deal.
Mia Robinson, thank you so much for your strength, and thank you for your time and joining me for this much needed but painful conversation.
Yeah.
Take care.
Thank you.
For tools, merchandise, and additional information, log on to our website, www.throughthepain.org. This has been a Public Praise Media production.